And we are live! What is up, everyone? Welcome to Ring the Bell Live, where a bunch of us get together and spill the tea, dish all the hot dish about everything Raw and Smackdown women's wrestling. Today, I have a panel of all of some of my favorite people. Starting off, Miss Molly Spartan is here.
Hello, everybody. Good evening, or good day, or good afternoon, depending on when you tune into this. Or hello tomorrow if you're tuning in later on.
Yeah, exactly. And then writer extraordinaire Phil Lindsey is here.
What's going on?
And from Divas 101, and Tommy likes it. He's perfect. It's Tommy Purr.
Hey guys, how you doing today?
Well, you guys, we get to start off this whole conversation this week about Friday Night Smackdown because we didn't get women's action per se, but I'm gonna go ahead and say that this is probably one of my favorite contract signings I've seen in recent memory because it was the SummerSlam contract signing between Sasha Banks and Bianca Belair. And y'all, when Sasha Banks said, "Get real, bitch," and that crowd popped behind her so hard, I got chills. So before we get into the overall chaos at the end, let's talk about the back and forth between these two women. Molly, what did you think about Bianca and Sasha going back and forth with each other on the mic?
The beauty about it, especially with these pairs, is they seem to always be authentic. Like, it never seems to be forced or the words are put in their mouth. And that's the beauty of these pair individually. And then when you put them together, it's just fire. I mean, everybody was on the edge of their seats for every word that they spoke. And that is very difficult. That's not an easy task to do. For anybody, no matter how long you've been in the game or your background, it's a very difficult thing, but these pairs seem to do it flawlessly. That you're now really hyped for SummerSlam to see this rematch.
Right there with you. It's kind of rare since we've been back in front of a live crowd that I've seen promos really pop the crowd like they were able to do, which was really cool. Phil, what did you think about the contract signing so far?
I thought their back and forth was really good. I think Sasha's at her best when she does stuff like this, when she can react. I know some people are kind of, very critical of her just coming out and standing alone and doing promos. But I feel like when she has somebody to play off of, especially when she's a heel, she's at her best.
She's so good, and I don't feel like she has to do that overly when she's driving the promo. That laugh that she does seems to really come out a lot as opposed to when she's reacting. Tommy, did you like the back and forth between Bianca and Sasha?
First of all, if you're going to talk about overly critical people when it comes to Sasha Banks promos, just at me next time. I really... Just at me. There's something about Sasha, I think it stands out, especially against people like Bianca Belair, where Bianca, Shotzi Blackheart, AJ Lee, people like those who cut promos, it feels like even though they're playing characters, that feels like themselves. That feels like they feel natural in the ring, on the mic. Sasha is a good promo person, but Sasha very much feels like she's playing a character. And I think that lies the difference. It's not necessarily a bad thing, but it's like night and day when I hear, and sometimes it's like Sasha's voice just kind of sometimes it sounds like she's on the verge of crying sometimes when she's talking, or, I agree though, I like when she gets to play off of someone instead of driving a promo, because she suffers from Trish Straticism. And Trish Straticism is when you're a heel and you rely on the giggle and the laugh to kind of do the pause in between things when you lose your spot. And it's very, let me tell you something, or I've got something to say, or you know what, brother? It's very that for the girls. So, I mean, I like their promo skills, but that's what I've noticed.
I'm taking the term straticism and just going to the bank with that. That's some freaking gold. That's wonderful. Well, so this Molly, do you have something?
Yeah, like I would like to add, even though this was quite late on in the show as well, for
Oh, it closed
SmackDown,
it.
but it's that sort of thing where the show, let's be honest, even though we focus on the women's wrestling on these shows, SmackDown last night was great. Like it was an incredible show. There was really solid matches, the opening promo, everything like that. So that crowd was a crowd that had already expended its energy. So like you get crowds where the card could be incredible from top to bottom, but there's probably going to be a match that the crowd's a bit lagging in purely because they're tired, where their interactions were so tangible that the crowd were still with them, which again is a thing that's very hard to do when you're the last. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. We just lost your video.
Yeah, my face just disappeared. I don't know why that happened. Hello. God,
it just turned into like.
Weird.
Well, no, it was like when you watch those YouTube EDM videos and the beat drops and it just turns into a circle that's doing the volume.
Sorry about that. I have no idea what happened there. It just switched off. It must be Lilly. Like, she's picking on my pal, so she must be coming for her pals as well. But yeah, but the crowd was still with them, which is a very hard thing to do, especially when you're the last thing. It's not a match. And you've already had this very energetic crowd, energy-sucking show, which are great, but it's fun for us watching and for those in the stadium, but it does get exhausting at times. So yeah, and I'm still here. That's good.
Yeah, it was. I agree with you, and I think it's also just the energy of SmackDown. Like watching SmackDown as opposed to Raw is literally night and day.
Yeah,
literally every single week without fail. But this segment just kept adding because we saw Sasha say that she is bringing or she needs witnesses for the contract signing, which I loved Pat McAfee on commentary just being like, we're in an arena full of thousands of people. Why do you need any more witnesses? Because he's golden on the mic. I'm not going to lie. But she brings out Zelina Vega and Carmella. And it sets up for what everyone in the comments section right now. I see Vincent's Devils coming through again. I see the BFFs 2.0 going through here. But I'm not sure if they're going to tag team together, but they came out to be witnesses. And that, of course, led to what was supposed to be an initial beatdown. But Bianca, jumped first, throwing the contract into Sasha's face and then doing the coolest Thez press I have ever seen in my entire life. Flipping over the table eventually led to the beatdown and then an epic shot of Sasha doing the bank statement with Bianca's braid to close the show. Y'all, that was just great. Phil, what did you think of the closing segment?
I guess it seems like we're probably going to get 6-woman tag next week, probably.
But with who?
Probably like Tegan and Shotzi, if I had to guess.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know. Bringing in Carmella and not Tegan, sorry, Zelina. It just, I don't know. It just felt a little tacked on for me. Like I don't feel like it really added anything. I felt like the segment was fine and it was going fine as is. I didn't quite understand it. The only thing I could think of is it has to be setting up for a 6-woman tag next week. But like the beatdown itself was great. I think Sasha again excels at this kind of stuff as a heel. And Bianca is just such a likable face. She's just so likable to root for. She's never like damsel in distress. It's always like, no, I'm bringing the fight to you. I'm going to be sassy. Even when she was sitting there taking the barbs back from Sasha during the original promo, like she was like answering back, like she was, still being the Bianca we want to see. And so, I think it was great. I think it was great for what it was. Do I wish we also got a match? Yeah, but
So, quick question for everyone. If you can think of someone, because I can't, is there a more over babyface in the company at the moment than Bianca?
I mean, Nikki's quite over too.
Kevin Owens, maybe.
Maybe. She, like you said, Phil, ultimate charisma. The crowd was popping when she was delivering forearms. So, like, what you can't do any better than that. Molly, what did you think of the beatdown?
I mean, it's the same as Phil was saying. The beauty about Bianca is that she's still able to be very much a face and for the people, but bring a fight. She never looks like she's not trying to fight back, which is which is a weird sort of thing to say, and you think it'd be a very simple 101 of wrestling, but the amount of times where people just don't really have that fight back. They know what they're doing, they go through things, but they don't have the fight back, where Bianca always does.
Mm-hmm.
And even when it was 3 against 1, she was constantly trying to fight back. She was so explosive with everything, and even with individually, she was sort of, it was always a way back to get back to Sasha, but yeah, just a constant fight, which is what you want to see. Like, when you watch wrestling, you want to see people having a fight. That's the basis of it all. And even though the end shot was the Banks statement with the braid, no, at any point Bianca did not come out this looking weak. She looked like the numbers got the best of her and that she was taken advantage of. And this is how she's ended up out like this. I mean, I do think that Zelina and Carmel must now be becoming a tag team. The bottoms and top kind of matching. They kind of looked like a team.
Maybe.
But I think, well, I mean, if you think about it, if it could be that sort of faction that has, I mean, there's not really any proper women's factions at the moment. There was a run a few years ago when there was, for some reason, the Riot Squad and Paige's, it was Paige, Absolution. I couldn't remember the name of the three of them. Absolution, and it seemed to be a thing that was happening. And then obviously when Paige got injured, and it kind of just fizzled away. But I feel like this could be the next one, and especially when it's 3 very talented and over individuals. Like, they are all very hot and like people want to see them. So clubbing them together is probably a very good idea. And I could definitely see like them taking the tag titles, Sasha with the Smackdown title, and sort of just completely swaggering about that place like Vinny themselves.
I think it would also be kind of a benefit if they did put those Carmella and Zelina alongside Sasha, because those are 2 women who are great on the mic, so they can probably help her amp it up even more. Tommy, what did you think of the beatdown that closed the show?
Okay, so just so you know, I'm frozen again. I am not scowling when people are talking. Just so everyone knows, I am not making a face at you guys. Okay, so first off, I'm so disappointed in all of you. We're not going to talk about how banging Sasha looked in this outfit on the contract signing.
I mean, we talk about her, also Bianca, also Zelina, also Carmella.
Everybody involved looked incredible.
Yes, but I really loved this dominatrix Janet Jackson vibe that Sasha had going on. Those gloves, that all that stuff was great. I think this is my favorite outfit she's ever worn. I loved the beatdown. What I like about Bianca is when she beats up people, her strikes look strong, but they also look like she does protect her opponent. So it looks like no one's getting hurt. And she has the best strikes, I feel. Like full on punches. I do really hope this ends up with Zelina and Carmella making a faction with Sasha, and not just like a random tag team, because I always felt Sasha as the boss should have had a faction that she was leading on the main roster. An entourage, of course. And I mean, we do know that Naomi was supposed to be moved to SmackDown, and Liv Morgan's been kind of absent. I would love to see Liv and Naomi side with Bianca. And what I also liked about this contract signing was WWE gets a lot of crap for, like, you know, their storytelling, and rightfully so. But like, they did a callback. Like, Carmella's been engaged with this thing with Bianca for a little bit, and then Zelina has history from Raw with Bianca. And now you got Sasha, and all three of them are teaming up because all three of them came up on the losing end against Bianca. So this was great. And that Bianca go round off of the freaking announce table.
Bianca go round.
The Bianca go round. The Bel Aerosol, or whatever you want to call it, like a carousel. Bel Aerosol. Doing that on top of Sasha and off of the table was amazing, and it was a great segment.
It's like such a great segment. Phil, I kind of agree with your thought earlier. I think we are going to see a 6-woman tag team match that's going to lead into SummerSlam for next Saturday. But I do want to ask a quick question because we did see something similar on Raw, which was basically just a beatdown. We're going to talk about it with Charlotte Flair. Can't even talk this morning. It's all the drinking with Paloma Star. Are you more hyped for the SmackDown Women's Championship at this point, or are you more hyped for the Raw Women's Championship at the moment for SummerSlam with these matches? And I got to say right now, for me, it's hands down SmackDown.
You've also got to think about the fact is that this is a rematch to one of probably the best main events of a WrestleMania ever was between these two. So the match itself has a very, very high expectation going in, where I think the beauty of the Raw one is because we kind of really aren't 100% how it's going to go. Like, if Charlotte Flair's involved, everybody assumes it's Charlotte Flair, but I think the surprise and the actual popularity of Nikki has got a lot higher and is a lot faster than I think a lot of people assumed it would be at first, especially when she first appeared in her superhero costume. We were all a bit like, okay, let's see how this goes. Okay. And I was optimistic because I know Nikki and I've worked and been around Nikki before she went to WWE. So I know that girl can basically get anything over that you physically give her. Like she's just one of those people that is so adaptable. It's ridiculous. But yeah, I can already see the multitude of figures of Nikki A.S.H in different colors of the same outfit that'll get mass produced by Mattel, just churning out, and it being like if there is not a Nikki Cross Pride collection next year where she is the color of the rainbow in the outfits, I will be a little bit surprised kind of thing. It's that kind of, you can do that with that because it's so adaptable, easy to, to get things over with. But of
they're
course
going to take all of my money when they do that too. They already know.
Come in a nice wee set, like it'll be beautiful, it'll be stunning. But yeah, it's that kind of way where I do think it's going to be interesting. Like the underdog is Nikki, especially when you were like, not this, but obviously last week when they were in the ring and it was Charlotte and Rhea on the left-hand side and Nikki's on the right, who's a good foot smaller than the other ones because they're all wearing heels and stuff like that. Like, she is the underdog, but sometimes it's the underdog story you want to win, even though she's the champion. But I think they're going to be very, very different matches. So I think it's very hard to compare.
I think I think the more thing I'm looking at with it is when we first saw Sasha versus Bianca at WrestleMania, they didn't have the best build. They really didn't. Like storyline wise going into that match, not good. But this go around, this is the storyline. Like this, I'm hyped for the match, but now the storyline's actually investing me into it as opposed to the prior one at Mania. But Phil, of the two title matches at SummerSlam, which one are you looking forward to most at this point?
It's the rematch. There's so much excitement here from the fact that it is a rematch, the fact that their first match was so good. All of their interactions since Sasha has been back have been great. And of course, that's, I don't think that is like a dismissal of the women on Raw, but I just feel like the the roles here are very much more defined than on Raw. Like it's very clear who is the heel, who is the protagonist here, and so I don't know. I think it's very much easier to root for Bianca as well. And like I said, Sasha's just such a great heel. She just is.
Oh no. Then Tommy dropped for a minute. I imagine he'll be back. He's been frozen for a hot minute. So
yeah. But yeah, I think for me it's the SmackDown Women's Championship match.
From experience, and I'm saying this as a female wrestler myself, although you're saying about you're right, the build between Bianca and Sasha wasn't great going into Mania, but sometimes that is what fuels you to be better. Like sometimes the neglect of what you think should be getting more attention because you're working your butt off sometimes makes you push even further, so that when you do well, you just sort of be like everything to them all because they got effort without their help. Like the idea of no, they love that match because I put the work in, because I got them to react, because I got the attention, not because you got behind me. Kind of, not the company didn't get behind me. The amount of times where I've been on shows where, for some reason, they'll put on some absolute. This is a perfect example. I was once on a show where the match before me was Rampage Brown versus Pac.
Ooh.
Then they announced that Pentagon Jr. was coming the following month and didn't tell any of the girls that were standing backstage ready to go. Incredible. But you tell us that that's going to happen. And then we had to go out, and everybody was exhausted by the time we'd come out because they've just watched Pac versus Rampage Brown. Then we told Pentagon Jr.'s coming. Oh, and Ray Phoenix came with them too. And then I was like, fuck. And I just remember shouting at the promoter, going, "You're a dick." And then just went, "Watch this." And we went out and it caused a riot in this show. It was great. We were near scrapping. It was brilliant. It was, but they came back and went, "What's up?" And I was like, don't you ever think that I'm the pee break in your match ever again. I am never the toilet break. So don't treat me like that, or don't treat any of the other girls like that. And he was like, okay. And I was like, so if you're going to do that again, tell me. He's like, okay, cool. Never happened again. But it's not sort of, you're saying about the build, like, because they didn't, is there a chance, weirdly, is this going to hinder it where it might not be? Because now they're getting all this, they're getting more eyes towards them, so it's not their own to craft. It's like the idea when Sasha and Bayley, we were talking about keeping things secret so that people couldn't intervene and take moves out because the boys do that move, the girls don't. Like, shut up, right? Quite frankly, that it infuriated me when I heard that. But it's that I'm now worried that there's going to be little grubby hands that shouldn't be near it. Just leave it to the two professionals who clearly absolutely kick it out of the park when they go. Just let them do it. Let them have the work, and just leave your little opinions to yourself. Sorry.
Your soapboxes are freaking monumental every time. But Tommy, which match are you looking more forward to at this point?
Well, I'm looking forward to Sasha and Bianca, but I also I agree that the unpredictability of the Charlotte, Rhea, Nikki, A.S.H match is really like, what's gonna happen there? You know, like, I mean, it is unpredictable. At this point, if it's Nikki having to drop the title, I hope it's to unpopular opinion. I hope it's to Charlotte, because then maybe we can get someone new to go after the belt against Charlotte, and she can drop it to them and help elevate another girl. That would be my hope.
Shayna Baszler.
The Shayna would be great. Shayna and Charlotte, it would be fresh. It'd be new. It would be a complete. That would be a match that I would watch, or just pull the trigger. Yeah. Charlotte would be. Charlotte would be like, maybe I should go to AEW.
Yeah,
okay. Oh, yeah, right. Like she'd be like, she beat my ass. But or like just pull the trigger on Alexa going full nuts. But we'll get to Alexa in a little bit. But I mean, I like Bianca a lot. I've liked Bianca since NXT, and I think that's the beauty of Bianca is that that's the problem is when people when they're a heel and they're over as a heel and then they become a face, it's like they suddenly lose all those traits about themselves. Same when they're a face and they become a heel, they kind of lose something that made them unique. I think that's what's great about Sasha. I think that's what's great about Charlotte and also Becky and especially Bianca is when they go from heel to face to heel. There is that core personality that still retains there. They keep all of their good moves. Yeah, so that's what I like, and I'm looking forward to both matches. Like I just love that Nikki is getting over. This was her idea. WWE took a shot and let her run with it, and I'm hoping she retains because I think she deserves it.
See, I reckon she retain, and that's who Alexa will go after. Like I think she'll, because then it's the background and the very different. Basically, superhero versus supervillain. That's the matchup. Let's be honest.
And there, yes, I mean, and there's history there.
Yeah. Do we think you said the magical word in women's wrestling that has not appeared yet of Becky Lynch?
Yeah.
Is Becky coming back SummerSlam, or do we think we're keeping her away till WrestleMania?
I'm thinking SummerSlam. I'm inching towards SummerSlam. That's what I'm thinking.
I think it's SummerSlam. If a certain Chicagoan is showing up the night before, you got to do something big at SummerSlam. And Becky's about as big as you can get outside of Brock. I think it's a good time for her to come back.
Because I can see her getting involved and then costing Charlotte the match, and then you've got Charlotte and Becky just going for another feud without a title involvement, so it can go really anywhere.
Which would be great, in my opinion, no lie. But for the sake of time, let's dive into a little bit of this Raw talk, because before we do that, I do want to apologize to everyone in the chat. My computer's acting up, so if any super chats have been sent, I'm not able to see them at the moment, but I will do my best to take a look. But let's go ahead and move on to Monday Night Raw, because this Monday Night Raw had some of the, or one of the most controversial moments in internet wrestling history, because Monday Night Raw on Twitter was vicious. We saw Doudrop going on against Alexa Bliss. Lilly was at ringside along with Eva Marie, and the match ended after Doudrop looked at Lilly. She winked and a nice little cutaway, and I use nice with quotation marks. We see the roll up and the victory. Someone take the mic from me. I don't have any words for this one. I was like, excuse me, is this what we're doing at the moment? Let's say, Molly, I want to hear from you a little bit, because I know that you are really good friends with Doudrop. So how are you feeling after seeing this segment?
I mean, I'm very proud of the fact that she is on Raw and that she is still essentially in a main story arc that people do tune in and watch. Like, even if you don't like it, I think one of the main things about, even with Eva Marie involvement, is that even if you don't like her for some reason, people still watch her, which of course is why she's still hired on the television.
Yep.
But yeah, it's just odd. But let's be honest, wrestling's always been odd. There's always been odd things in wrestling. Even when we were a kid and might have thought something was cool, when you look back on it now, you're like, oh, that was not as cool as I remember.
Yeah.
And I'm hot, like, in my head, I keep sort of replaying and sort of saying in my head, like, maybe this isn't for me. Like, all the talent involved are for me, because I know how talented they all are. And I definitely know how talented Doudrop is. Because I've trained, wrestled, been around, like, she's an incredible talent. And an incredible role model for body positivity. Let's just throw that in there. She's gorgeous. But yeah, it's just, I was the creepy kid at school. Like I was the creepy like little girl. Like when I was a toddler, like I looked like Reagan from The Exorcist. Like I was the creepy girl, and I will show you a picture after this that you can happily post. It's like yeah, like I've often thought about dressing up like her for Halloween because I would genuinely be terrifying. But it's that kind of thing where like there's a weird reflection of like when I look at Bliss's character, I'm kind of like, yeah, that could have heavy actually been me as a kid. And I do wonder if that's what they're appealing to is those misfit little girls who don't really conform to the Barbies and the pretty princess houses and stuff like that, because I definitely didn't. Like I had spooky books and everything like that growing up because I didn't like Polly Pockets and all that jazz.
Oh my god, I did. I love Polly Pocket.
Probably everything that people forced upon you, Joey, when you were a kid. We should have just swapped toys. It would have been great. Like I remember the cousins giving me Barbies when I was young, and my mum thought I was playing with them and I was shaving their heads. Like I was that kid. But
I was styling their hair, so yes, we should have traded.
Yeah, shaved their heads, like shaving them. But it was that way where I do keep thinking, like, you know what? Yeah, this isn't really my cup of tea, but it could have been my cup of tea when I was 8. Because I was that little girl that would have heavy been like, I want a Lilly doll. Like I would have been the first doll I would probably ever ask for. I would have been like, Lilly, no, thank you. Like,
she's gotta be appealing to someone because I haven't. The doll is selling. I've seen it posted online. She is appealing, and she winked on Monday, and honestly, that showed more facial expression than Eva Marie. So we really gotta figure out, where we're going with this story. Phil, what did you think about this match?
Okay, so we'll start with the good here. So, I really enjoyed how Alexa moved in this match. Like every time she like hit the ground, she like roll up and like do like a crawl, and it looked like a spider or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Like when she kept like throwing her against the ropes, and she like hang into the ropes and climb out of the ropes. The way she moved in this match looked really good. This finish.
Lily's back. She took out Tommy.
Telling you.
This finish didn't work for me for a number of reasons. It wasn't just because the distraction was just, it was dumb. I didn't
think
like
hokey's the best word for it.
There you go. It was very hokey. I didn't like the distraction, but if you're gonna put Alexa against somebody with such a huge size advantage, to beat her with a roll up just doesn't work. It's not believable in any way, and that's what I mean. It's like it's the combination of the distraction isn't believable, and then the roll up itself is not believable. So all of it is looking like, why did you just do that? And I just don't think it does anything for anybody. I don't think it does anything for Alexa, and it makes Piper look like why? Like why'd you have her lose like that to a roll up, especially to somebody that, like I said, you have such a big size advantage over. It just doesn't work. And I was sitting there the whole time, like we're supposed to be rooting for Alexa in this match because Alexa's technically the babyface here.
Right.
And I just don't feel that. Like I feel like some of the crowd was rooting for her. There's a lot of like booing. There's still some we want Wyatt chants a little bit. The Eva stuff is not getting a reaction either. Like I don't feel like she's not getting any heat by just being out there. And so I just felt like the whole time, like this is just like kind of dying a slow death. And then when the finish happened, I was like, so yeah, I'm just kind of at this point now where it's like, when do you decide this isn't working? When do you decide this is not working with Eva and Piper together? When did you decide that this is not working with Alexa? Like, it's just not working.
Well, I keep saying it. And the reason I think that Eva and Doudrop isn't working is because how long have they been together now? It's been 2 months, right? something like that. They still have not told us what the point of their relationship is. Exactly. Period. Hands down. We don't know if Eva's the mentor. We don't know why they're put together. It's a lot of assuming. Like, if you talk to anyone, it's like, oh, well, she's the social media guru. She's the famous one trying to help out Dewdrop. It's whatever. But they've never told us what's going on. And therefore, Dewdrop's still a face, which I think is what's confusing.
And then the other part here that I noticed, and this is the first time I acknowledged it, I feel like Eva doesn't really know how to be a heel. Like, I think Eva could come out and get booed just because people didn't like what she represented. It wasn't necessarily anything she was coming out and doing. People just wanted to boo because they hated the idea of this, like, very pretty girl that's like the divas stereotype that couldn't wrestle. And that's not to say that she can't wrestle, but it's just the optic of it. And I think people were booing the optic, not anything in particular she was doing. And I think because of that, she hasn't established anything that makes her distinct as a heel. Is that just me?
No, I agree.
I think reflect, like, when we're obviously watching wrestling a lot different. The problem, Ian, is that people are watching this. People tune in to just hate on Eva Marie, but at the end of the day, that's still views.
Like, I just don't. You're not getting that reaction in a crowd, and I don't feel like you're getting the response the intended response. So it's like, that's why I'm asking, like, when do you acknowledge, like, this isn't working and try and do something else?
I don't know, Tommy. I know you are like the ultimate resident diva stan. How are you feeling about Eva Marie being back, and how'd you feel about this match?
Well, I mean, I think it also really, really hinders her that Total Divas is not a thing anymore, and she's not on there, because I think a great portion of people getting to know her and either disliking her or rooting for her was because of what they saw on Total Divas. I agree with him about, like, they're not really doing anything heelish for her. It almost feels like they don't know what they want to do with her and Dewdrop. And I also think that's a matter of, I mean, WWE gets crapped on a lot. They don't listen to their fans. They don't do this. Well, I mean, that argument can only work so much because it's clear that they tried to course correct. Again, I'm frozen. Sorry. I give up at this point. They tried to course correct after the backlash of the whole Dewdrop name thing. And I feel like they're kind of like, we're going to be damned if we do, damned if we don't. And then they knew about the Bray Wyatt situation, which has now kind of hijacked the Alexa Evolution storyline. So it literally feels like, not because of neglect, it just feels like, well, what can we do? Because they're going to, until these Bray Wyatt chants chime down, there's nothing we really can do. You know, they could very well be spinning their wheels until after SummerSlam and move into Alexa versus Nikki. You know, this is probably just a temporary thing to just build up Alexa and then move into something else. I'm glad that Piper's on TV. Yeah. Go ahead, Joey. What were you going to say?
I was like, does it not seem like it's something that just got kind of thrown together a bit more? Because there's a great quote that I love from Paul Heyman where he's like, you don't write for the next week, you write for the next month. So I don't think that they really had a direction for Eva and Piper, nor do they really have a direction they really wanted to take Alexa. It feels like they're just writing stuff for the sake of putting it on television at this point, rather than really flushing out a storyline with these women.
Yeah, Eva Marie would have been better served as a super role model, social media guru on the arm of an up-and-coming male. Like, that is where she would have shined. Not being a manager for a female that could already wrestle and get herself over, like Dewdrop, you know? I think
it's
that's
so hard to call her Dewdrop.
You know what? I'm just kind of like, you know what? I might as well just get used to it if they're not going to drop the name soon. So it's just kind of like, I also feel the same way. Like, I feel like they didn't necessarily write themselves into a corner, but they were like, we don't know what to do because now people are chanting for Bray and all this other stuff. The doll winking doesn't bother me because I love that stupid shit. I love dumb stuff like that. And at least listen, at least they're being consistent. We're so used to them dropping a storyline. We're so used to them axing it in the middle of it. At least they're like gonna see it end to a natural conclusion for right now, and at least they didn't just drop Lilly into the abyss. At least they're doing something. But Alexa, that match was a lot of fun to watch because Dewdrop looked strong, but Alexa's body, like, she's probably the most versatile performer out of the women. When you look at when she started in NXT, like, Molly had stated, Alexa was that Polly Pocket, pretty princess character. And then she became this spiteful, bratty Barbie doll, mean girl plastic character. And now she's the spooky goth girl. And that move of her being thrown into the ropes and she like Spider-Man'd off into a crossbody was so good. And Piper was so good with her facial expressions. We can hate on Lilly and all that other stuff, but at least Piper is like committed and she's selling it. Like nothing worse than knowing your performer hates this gimmick. If Piper hates it, that's cool, but at least she's committed to trying to make it work, it seems.
She'll always do her job. I can assure she will do her job. But yeah, I mean, I think I think obviously when originally when the Evolution stuff happened and with Dewdrop appearing, I think initially it felt like it was going down the way of she was mentoring her and they were going to fight and squabble, because remember there were ones where she'd win and then she'd be angry and upset. But I feel like now this is, again, it's putting them in with Alexa just so that Alexa has something to do and that she's as relevant now until I think it's going to be till SummerSlam, and then she's going to go after Nikki. But it's to allow Nikki to have a bit of time with the title and to get a bit of a decent reputation of beating someone like Charlotte Flair and Rhea Ripley, like big girls like that, so that you can have, a valid sort of champion.
All I'm really hoping is next Monday on Raw, I hope that it is Lilly versus Eva Marie.
Oh boy.
I need that as a gift, Molly. Just the corner of the facials.
Oh.
But for the sake of time, let's move on to the main championship title picture, because we did get to see almost a superhero. I'm trying really hard on the Scottish. I'm working on it. Nikki A.S.H is facing Rhea Ripley this week, coming off of the heels of her giant win over Charlotte Flair in the main event. And Nikki comes up and does her little promo. And the more Nikki talks in this character, the more endearing I find her. The more I just kind of love her. Because she's like, I didn't almost beat Charlotte Flair. I did beat Charlotte Flair. And then tonight, I'm almost certain I'm going to beat Rhea Ripley. I was like, I just love you. You're the cutest little, button I've ever seen. But the match was fun while it lasted, but it ended with Charlotte Flair coming out in one of my favorite little pantsuits I think I've ever seen in my life and just beating the holy hell out of Rhea Ripley and Nikki A.S.H and holding up the title. Tommy, what did you think of this match with Rhea and Nikki?
I feel the same way you do, and I saw the funniest tweet. Maybe I shouldn't laugh. I don't know, but I was like, "What?" What someone tweeted? Why is Matt Riddle attacking Rhea and Nikki A.S.H? And I was like, "What?" Because Charlotte took off her shoes and was barefoot, and in this psychedelic looking suit, and I was like, "That's wrong. Why don't you dare?"
Yeah,
I was like, but the minute she came out and the minute you see Bianca take off her earrings and you see Charlotte take off her heels, or Lana, when Lana would take off her heels, there's going to be a fight. So it's just kind of like, here we go.
I'm just going to say, if any woman takes off her heels, that's a rule across the board that it's going down in any walk of life. If you ever see a woman just strip off her heels, just be like, get me some solid popcorn and get me a chair, because this is going to be fun. I'm just clarifying.
Yeah, and you know what? You have to worry about those women like Terry Runnels who were able to fight in heels, and I'm like, ooh, you're a whole other breed. Like doing crossbodies off the top and platform heel boots, could never. But Charlotte coming out, I loved this pantsuit. I think she looks incredible. Ever since her return, she looks stunning and amazing. And the natural selection of Rhea looked super good. Like Rhea ate that mat. And again, this just added to the mystique about who's going to win, because it's kind of like, all right, they've done a good job at kind of giving us a chance of unpredictability with who could win this match. And there was a smattering of cheers I was shocked about when she raised the belt. I mean, it was overpowered by boos, but there was a smattering of cheers in the audience as well. And I was like, oh, that's interesting, because I didn't expect that.
I mean, she is one of like the most decorated women's champion in history. So like she's gonna have some fans.
Yeah. I mean, the thing about Charlotte Flair is her one objective in her entire career, and she's the only person that has it, is to truly surpass her own father. So that's why I think the reason why this title reign as well was so short was so that they could knock off a couple more to get to that 17 quicker, because that's realistically her only job. Like, really, that's her you know what I mean? That's the one thing she has to do, so that when her father's no longer around, that it's still a Flair that holds the most championship sort of reigns. And that's the pressure she has that no one else does.
I just wish they could figure out what number of titles she's had, because at this point it's starting to sound like a football play, like 13, 14, 17, hike. Like, I don't know where she's at. But Phil, what did you think about this match?
Yeah, I mean, I think it was. I really like the visual of Nikki being heavily bandaged after the match from last week. I think that Nikki is a great face. I just think, I don't know. I just feel like they've got to get past, having her barely survive people. I think she's got to get to the point where she gets competent, confident wins, and I think that's the next step for her. And like, so this was kind of that. It's like when she was crawling up to the top rope, I was like, okay, like, give her the win, just give her the pin. And then Charlotte showed up and, confirmed her endorsement with Fashion Nova with this incredible pantsuit.
Yes.
And so, I mean, like the beatdown at the end was great, but it was almost kind of like, man, just finish the match first. Like, at least just let her have the win before you bring Charlotte in. I mean, I get it. You want to leave the mystery of, her not getting the pin over Rhea yet, but I just feel like she hasn't gotten that big confident win yet. It just feels like she's just always on the cusp of it.
But that's why I think maybe it's getting saved till SummerSlam, so that there's that promo on the Monday Night Raw where she's going, I beat Charlotte Flair, I beat Rhea Ripley. And then she can have like a run of people that she beats on Monday Night Raw, and then eventually that runs into Bliss. The only thing in my head, because of how much Charlotte is being disruptive with all these matches, is the one reason why I think possibly Becky will show up, because then she's going to be the disruptive, basically do what Charlotte's been doing to them the whole time, and dragging them out and costing her the match.
So my question with that is, do you think when Becky comes back, they're going to immediately go right back to Charlotte versus Becky? We've seen that so many times that I almost feel like.
But I mean, every time we see it, it's like match of the year.
But it's also if you think about it this way, on an actual normal human being level, that might be the exact thing Becky needs, is just familiarity to start with. To have someone hot to get her back on to being the man, and then going into other things and taking new ventures. Like Like,
Yeah.
she pushed a human out of her vagina. It takes a lot out of you, and then getting back to fighting fit. Sometimes when you come back from an injury, the one thing you want to do is just wrestle the one person you know you can wrestle with your eyes shut, and then go on and do the more adventurous things. So that's why I feel like it could be that,
also,
because then it's.
What you gonna tell me?
Well, also, I completely agree with you, Molly. But also, we're just assuming that Becky's going to show up to Raw because it's the quote unquote A show. Her husband is on SmackDown. They really don't like separating couples, and I would prefer. I mean, Becky. I mean, here's my thing. I think I'm okay with reigns that last 2 months, 3 months. We don't. Ooh. Oh, guys, we're the new hosts of Ring the Bell. He'll be all right. Welcome to our show. Basically, I really think that Sasha could take the belt from Bianca because everyone loves when the babyface chases the belt. But I also wouldn't mind seeing Becky come back to feud with Sasha over the belt. You know what I'm saying? She's wrestled Sasha. They're also friends. There could be that familiarity, just like you said, Molly, that she would have with Charlotte. So I think there's a high probability Becky comes back for SmackDown. And she could come back at SummerSlam and just come out after Sasha wins or after Bianca wins. But, I mean, that might be the only thing that makes people okay with Charlotte winning the belt at SummerSlam is if Becky immediately comes out and challenges her after or the Raw after.
The thing with Becky and Charlotte going at each other again is just Charlotte, like Molly was saying, Charlotte is decorated because she's the one person who's got that drive to win all these championships. And then they've built her up in her head from winning all these titles to being this larger than life character. She's basically queen of the mountain. She's the queen. And the only person in the company that really rivals her on that level of that character, because there's other women who are like just as built as Charlotte, but the one that's like monumental is Becky. They're like those two combustible forces. And I think that it's kind of really hard to deny those two being in the ring together.
Yeah, and I think if she doesn't have a title, then it becomes like an actual personal feud rather than going for a championship, which means you can actually probably get a better storyline out of it because you can actually, it's not about just chasing gold, it's about getting the better of one another. That's why I wondered if it was going to be, I think like if she had the championship, I would rather it be a Mania match. If that makes sense. Like if you're going to have Becky and Charlotte again, if it's going to be for a championship, that you save that till Mania because that's if they're still going to do the 2 nights for Mania, that's a main event night. Let's be honest, it's not the first time, well, it won't be the last time that they main event a pay-per-view together. But if she doesn't win and it is just a feud, then it gets the familiarity. It allows Becky to get back into wrestling and find her feet again. To wrestle her best mate. Like, I know like they've been very good at making them look like they don't like one another, but we all secretly know they are best friends. So it's that way where you get her back in, you get her running off the ground, and then you can split them up and let them go do their own thing, and Charlotte can get you can even have a wee up till Survivor Series kind of thing. They have a big payoff match at Survivor Series. Charlotte goes away, gets the title, and then eventually they meet again at WrestleMania. Like, I can easily
if we're talking like WrestleMania, like this is the one-upsmanship, like the titles are out of the picture. If there's some way they can build to it for Mania, no titles involved, it's for pure pride that's on the line. I would love a fatal 4-way for the 4 horsewomen at WrestleMania. I think that would be like the biggest pride standoff match you've ever seen.
Oh man, is Bayley gonna be ready by then though?
She's out past next WrestleMania.
Yeah.
That upsets me.
She might do an Edge and be fine.
Or a Cena, might get healed up, you know.
Maybe. Let's hope. Let's hope.
Well,
I mean,
let's do a quick little
My-
discussion here for the sake of time, because we did get a super chat that popped up. So David Primero said, would it be better to have Alexa Bliss and Lilly be tag team champions or co-Raw women's champions? Come on, Spooky Lake Cool. But that would be interesting. You know, I'm not going to lie. I kind of actually really like the idea of her and Lilly being tag team champions for some reason. I think that'd be kind of fun.
I mean, we had Braun Strowman. We had Braun Strowman and that random kid from the audience as tag champions. Why not make Lilly women's tag champion?
That doesn't make me want that, though. That wasn't good.
So you're right.
Braun is an actual monster, like an actual giant in real life, where Alexa is a small person. She's absolutely toty. And having a toty person and a tall is tag champ. Like, if she was the Raw Women's Champion and she was like, we're co-Raw Women's Champion, that's fine, because I don't expect Lilly to get in and scrap. But if she's a tag champ and she's carrying a title, I'm expecting her to get in. And if she's winking, is she going to fight on?
Yeah.
No, keep that away. No.
Look,
David, you're a bad man. Like,
no. The tag titles have enough problems right now trying to be legitimate. You don't want to do something like this to further delegitimize them, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't think you should do that. Especially, like, I just don't think the titles are in a good enough stature or prestige to take that kind of hit.
I want Lilly to possess someone and kind of have that. I'm waiting for it. Like, I don't know who it's going to be. Based on matches that have been happening, I'm kind of hoping it possibly becomes Aaliyah, who is winding up being Lilly. But legit, I want her to possess someone, and that's when I think it could be a tag team championship storyline. I think that'd be pretty fun.
I had a fan theory, and I'm just going to clarify that. The fan theory was that the reason why Dewdrop is called Dewdrop is because you get dewdrops on a lily.
Oh.
Really?
I've seen a fan theory about that could be what it is. I don't know if that's true, even though I'm friends with Dewdrop. That's not a thing. Like, I'm clarifying. There's nothing that is ever. She's never said anything about to me. She's just being her best self. But I seen a fan theory on Twitter that were like, do you think Dewdrop's called Dewdrops because you get dewdrops on a lily? And I was like, oh, what?
Come through.
Mind blown. I honestly, I mean, I don't want them as tag champs. Like the idea of them, like, oh, me and Lilly are co-Raw champion. Okay, that's fine. That's funny. That's cute. But I like the idea of Lilly possessing someone. What I don't like is now this idea is thrown out there. We put it in the universe. We've talked about it. Watch Dave Meltzer go, rumor has it Lilly is going to be Raw, like, women's tag team champion. It's like, no, Dave Meltzer. No, it was just a joke. We were just referring to a super chat. Calm down. Let's not put it out there. Let's not put it out there.
No.
Let's not put it out there.
Well, we did. Let's see what the universe does. You done brought Meltzer up in this podcast. But no. But you guys, that is what happened this week on Raw and SmackDown. I am surprised at us. Not a lot really happened this week. We squeezed a whole full hour out of this, y'all. So good job. But if you guys enjoyed our discussion of Raw and SmackDown this week, please make sure you give a big thumbs up on this video. If you're not subscribed, do that. And you know what else you can do? You can ring the bell. So you're notified anytime we post new content. Lots of stuff on the way. But thank you guys for being on the show today. Phil, where can people find you across social media?
You can find me at PhilDeal616 on Twitter. And you can find my writing at Bleacher Report and Daily DDT.
And it's so freaking good. I adore you. Miss Molly Spartan, where can people find you?
You can pretty much find me on all social media at Molly Spartan. And you could also watch me on the WWE Network for ICW Fight Club most weeks. Some weeks I'm having a break. Sometimes I just, need to put the old feet up. But most weeks you will find me causing some kind of chaos with my tag partner, Casey Owens, as part of the She-Wolves.
Oh, I've been following all of it on Instagram. I love all the posts.
We're talking about heels earlier. Just like to add, I hit a spear and I hit spears with heels on. So I think I might have the best one on the network just now. So I'm just saying.
Okay.
If you want to step up and put a pair of heels on and hit a spear, then you're more than welcome to it, and we'll see how you do. But I can hit spears with a heel. So and a dress, and I didn't show any of to the world. I managed to keep my decency, hit a spear, and a pair of heels. Thank you very much.
I have a show next Friday, but I ain't gonna be decent with it. I have a spot now, though. But Tommy, where can people find you across social media?
Okay, so you can find me on Instagram at _man_diva. You can find me on Twitter at rare_form, RAWR_form. And you can just type into YouTube and find my YouTube channel. Me and Joey co-host Divas 101, counting down 101 moments that rocked, shocked, and made women's wrestling history. So in WWE only. So we only have so much time. Maybe we'll do another 101 for outside of WWE. Who knows? But check that out. I also host Tommy Likes It, the toy review show on YouTube as well. And we got new episodes every Wednesday for both.
If you do outside of WWE, it's just going to be 101 Dixie Carter moments. But and y'all can find me at Joey. Oh.
Sorry, do you want to know an interesting story? You're saying Dixie Carter. So I did a tour with Awesome Kong, and she had never seen Dixie Carter on Hulk Hogan's leg begging him to stay, even though she was there at that point. It got filmed separately, and she was like, "No, it didn't." And I was like, "It did happen." She was like, "No, we had to show her on a phone." So I had to show Awesome Kong Dixie Carter wrapped on Hulk Hogan's leg, begging him not to leave. And she was like, "I can't believe this is real." And she was there at that time. So, yeah.
It's kind of like when you go, "I didn't get that work memo. I didn't get that work email." It's like, everyone got it, Kong. Everyone got the work memo. And then you show them. You're like, "Oh, it happened."
Real, it did happen. She was like, "No, I didn't." I went, "It did." We had to show her.
I don't remember grinding my feet in Eddie's couch. I don't remember grinding my feet in Eddie's couch. I remember grinding my feet in Eddie's couch.
Best part is, of all the times that I've met Kong, that's just right. That's spot on branding for her. Yep.
She's brilliant, but yeah, she was just like, "Nah, it did work." What? She's the best.
I love it. And guys, for me, if you want to follow me, Joey_Mayberry on Instagram and Twitter, Joey.Mayberry on TikTok, Golden Era Podcast, wherever you listen to podcasts with me and Jake Smith every Friday, and me and Tommy Purr, Divas 101. If you didn't hear the details of that show, just backtrack a few seconds. But thank you guys so much for watching Ring the Bell this week. We'll be back next Saturday for another episode, and next week it's Ring the Bell right before SummerSlam, so it's going to be a very exciting episode, so make sure that you tune in. Love you all, and we will see you next week. Okay, bye.
Bye.
Bye.